Hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Lakin, and today I'm very excited to sit down and do this video of my 2024 year-end reflection, and then to announce my word and Bible verse for the year 2025. And this is something that I've never really just sat down and done before. I always have a word and a Bible verse for the new year, and I usually just throw those into one of my homemaking videos just as a voiceover. But I'm excited today to actually sit down and talk through this with you guys. Hang on, I think UPS is here. Let me go get my dog. All right, sorry about that. So Houston got me a beautiful like sage green enamel Dutch oven for Valentine's Day, because I'm filming this after Valentine's Day. So yeah, it just got here and I'm so excited to open that up, but I want to film this video first. So anywho, back to the video. But I'm very excited to sit down and talk with you guys today and do this reflection video of the past year, what the Lord taught me, what I learned, and then going into the new year. So it took me a little bit to figure out my word and Bible verse for the year of 2025, and I just really prayed about it. And generally I already have this video out, you already know it, but I always like to share those with you guys. Usually I just throw them into a homemaking video and I voice over it, but I like to share it just to inspire you, or maybe if you want to follow along in the same word or Bible verse, which I encourage you to pray about, really lean into what the Lord lays on your heart for that. And I talked about that in my last sit down video, my Q&A video that I filmed not too long ago. But anywho, so I figured I would share this with y'all today. I did actually write this out. So it is all wrote out here on my laptop. So my laptop is down here. So I am going to be reading it, and I'm very excited. So if you see me looking down, it's because I am reading from this, because I did type it all out. I like to write, I like to read. I think I've shared that I like to read on here. I do not know if I've shared that I like to write. And writing out the reflection and writing out the word and the Bible verse, and kind of like, that's what I do every single year. I just write it out, and this year I actually typed it. I didn't actually physically write it, but I've always been a big journaler. I love to journal, keep journals. I have so many journals. And I like to, that's just what I like to do. I like to read and I like to write. And I actually shared this with Houston a few weeks ago when I got it finished. And yeah, so anywho, let's get into it. So we're going to start with the 2024 reflection. And so my word for 2024, if you are new here or if you forgot, was perseverance. And perseverance, kind of a recap, is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. And my Bible verse was Galatians chapter number 6, verse number 9. And it said, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." And then I also had like a little quote for the year as well to kind of go along with that, because I felt like this just went along with it so well with the verse and the word. "Fall 7 times and stand up 8." And that was a Chinese proverb. Anywho, so those were like what my 2024 word, Bible verse, kind of what I clung to, that's what the Lord gave me. So let's get into the reflection of that. So of course in 2024 I didn't quite understand why the Lord had laid this word and verse on my heart. I truly thought He had placed it on my heart as a work ethic motivation. So YouTube, business, new homemaking skills. Joe Dallas was still very young. He was just turning 7 months old. I was still fairly a new mother, and I thought maybe the Lord wanted me to persevere through 2024, just being a new mom, and like I said, just to be very successful in YouTube and reach those goals that I want. I had some goals set for myself in 2024 for YouTube, and just just business adventures and stuff like that, because we are business owners, you know, outside of YouTube and everything. And you know, and I've always like learning new homemaking skills and stuff like that. So you know, I really truly thought that's what the Lord wanted me to persevere, was just those things. I guess more, you know, work things. But very early on in the year, February 2024 to be exact, I started to see how the Lord was using this New Year goal for more. I had some health issues arise that would later result in surgery a few months later in May. So if you do not remember, in May in February I had a very big scare. I had a uterine hemorrhage pretty much. Had to urgently go into my clinic, and they had to put me on medication to get the bleeding to stop, and then they monitored me for the next few months. Had a ton of bleeding, inconsistently, on and off. It was not fun, not good, and so I ended up having to have surgery in May, and they took out all the old lining of my uterus. They did a D&C situation. Anywho, so I remember constantly thinking of my word perseverance and how I was going to remain strong and get through the health issues I was faced with and still be a positive homemaker, business owner, and stay on top of my media platforms. I did just that and kept the faith despite how I was truly feeling, because I was so determined to persevere and make the most of the year. After all, I desired to be successful and have a year that resulted in a lot of growth. I also had my sweet baby boy, who was still experiencing many firsts in life, and I didn't want to miss a beat. Later, the Lord would show me what growth was truly about as He was molding me for more. So fast forward to May, shortly after my surgery, we began packing up our home. Yes, we also, unexpectedly enough, were also hit with the surprise of having to move out of our rent house. Now, of course, we knew that this was a rental, and though it was a temporary home, we were still forced to leave sooner than we had planned. But through it all, we kept trusting the Lord in the plans He had for us, and decided that the most reasonable living arrangement would be to move in with my parents, as we are in a home building process. And boy, how life was full of changes only 5 months into the year. So 5 months into the year, I had health issues. We found out we were having to move. We had to pick up, move. We moved here into my parents' home, and you know, we're in this home build process, and life just felt full of uncertainty in these months. Yet we were going on. We were traveling a lot too, and you know, it was just a very busy, crazy time. I don't think fully, I know I was not fully taking care of myself the way I needed to as far as my health goes. You know, we were literally just going through the motion day by day, just trying to make it through. Like, I was truly in survival mode pretty much the whole entire year of 2024. I was just in survival mode that whole entire year. But, you know, it happened. So we got moved in with my parents and began navigating the very new routines of life of having two families living under one roof, which was a huge adjustment, might I add. So a few months after settling into these new routines, life felt very much at peace again, and we were easily tackling all of the ebbs and flows that go along with that. So yeah, after we moved in and kind of got settled in, I recovered fully from surgery, and you know, we just enjoyed our peaceful, it was summertime, we had Joe Dallas's first birthday. The month of July was very relaxing. Nothing happened in July. It was just like, wow, we were finally like just relaxing again. You know, we have got moved in, we had got settled, we were learning the new routines of like what it was like living here, and then Joe Dallas had just turned 1, and so it was just like, wow, this is the first month out of the year that we finally feel fully at peace. And it was like really nice, and it was like, wow, okay, we're finally at peace again. for the most part. You know what I mean. And so Houston and I had always dreamed of having our children close in age, and we felt like the time was right to try to grow our family. After battling IVF with our son, we of course knew we would undergo another embryo transfer to fall pregnant again. In August of 2024, we consulted our fertility clinic to start the embryo transfer preparations. I was so excited to be pregnant again, to grow my sweet family, and to see Joe Dallas become the best big brother. Though the medications made me feel awful, I persevered through it all because knowing the joy of the outcome made it all worth it. On October the 10th, 2024, it was finally the day we had been waiting and praying for, our embryo transfer that would welcome the newest addition to our family in June 2025. Houston and I were so excited, flooded with the utmost joy, and even had talked about a baby being in mommy's tummy to Joe Dallas. For almost 2 weeks, Joe Dallas would point and say baby while touching my stomach, and the excitement grew for all of us until the unexpected happened. We lost our precious baby with no explanation. I thought I would never make it through the following days after the miscarriage and being faced with the news that we had lost our baby. I felt numb, not knowing what my next move was. I cried and prayed and surrendered to the Lord for 3 days, day and night. I felt His presence and His arms wrapped around me, and I knew in those months that the Lord had placed my word and my verse in my heart for a moment as this. It wasn't about becoming successful. It wasn't about overcoming the battles of motherhood and homemaking or any business endeavors that were thrown my way. It was about surrendering to the Lord and allowing Him to guide me in the direction I needed. It was about slowing down and allowing Him to grow me exactly how He wanted. Through my grieving, I questioned why this would happen, not having any answers. But I knew I could either use this sorrow to control me or to allow the Lord to use it for His glory, as He had done times before. You see, life is full of wants, though we may not receive those in the way or the time that we think they should come. I've learned through my Christian walk of life that the Lord either says yes, no, or not yet. Each answer being what is best. The Lord taught me to persevere through the death of my child. The following weeks after the miscarriage, I was in and out of my fertility clinic weekly. I was eventually diagnosed with endometriosis after weeks of testing. Finally, we at least had an answer as to why we lost our baby. I thought once I had an answer, knowing would make things better, but realizing that my body failed did nothing but cause me more pain. It wasn't until after the long weeks of feeling numb to everything that I was hit with another wave of grief and trauma. The reality had finally set in, and it hurt more than anything knowing that I would never bring this sweet baby home. Once again, the Lord swooped me up and He held me in one of my darkest moments. You see, God doesn't rush. He allows us to feel our feelings, bringing them all to Him. And once I felt the emotions and spent time in prayer, it was then I received the reminder, persevere. I was grieving here on earth, but what a sweet blessing to know that my baby was in heaven with our Creator. I like to think that our baby watches down on Houston, Joe Dallas, and I. I often feel like there are precious little moments of reminders that our baby is always with us, and I find myself smiling in those times. And though grief still comes in waves, I can humbly say that I can navigate and persevere through the feelings with the help of the Lord and His gentle love surrounding me. I don't believe a mother will ever not grieve the loss of her child, a piece of her heart that will always be empty. But I do believe that the Lord grows us closer to Him if we only allow Him. God doesn't want us to have it all figured out. He just wants us to surrender and trust in Him. The Lord has showed me even more of the beauty and blessings of my family. He showed me to love my husband more. I didn't understand how Houston could remain so calm, cool, and collected through the sorrowful, traumatic event. Later, God showed me that Houston was only being strong for me. Houston fought his grieving battles silently. He loved me so much as my husband and saw my pain that he didn't want to cause more by showing his feelings out loud too, knowing that would only cause more sorrow for me. Once the Lord showed me this, I found comfort in my husband, and our relationship strengthened even more through this trial. God also allowed me to see even more so how my son, Joe Dallas, was a walking miracle every day. I realized how blessed I was that God fulfilled the promise of making me a mother and giving me a son who I prayed for so many years while navigating infertility. My heart became more grateful for all of the blessings that the Lord had given me. I experienced growth the way the Lord intended for me, definitely not the way I thought I wanted it. Did I fall 7 times and stand up 8 in 2024? Absolutely, and possibly even more than 7 times. But I stood up hand in hand with the Lord, and that's where it made all the difference. Truly did. Because we can fall down and we can have these times of sorrow and grief and just, agony and what's next, what's going to happen next. And you're in this fight or flight mode and you're just surviving. You're not living your life. You're just truly in this survival mode day to day to day to day. And then maybe you get a little bit of a calm, after your storm. And then for whatever reason, maybe you didn't learn your lessons good enough. So maybe the Lord just says no. And you get thrown back into a storm. And maybe it's an even bigger storm than what was before, because the Lord wants to teach you something. He wants to teach you to slow down, We don't know. Only God knows. But we just have to remain, true to Him and trust in Him and walk with Him and make sure that we are hand in hand in His will. We don't know what the future holds, but thankfully we know who holds the future. And though 2024 is now over, I still want to persevere in life. Not for the finer things, those are nice, but persevere for the Lord and with His guidance. It took me a few weeks to figure out what my word and verse were going to be for 2025. I felt a pull to a general idea, but I couldn't quite put the nail on the head. I had a conversation with one of my close friends who had witnessed the battles I endured during 2024 about what my word might be. We both agreed that 2025 was the year of health or renewal for me. We kept throwing ideas around, but nothing felt right, and I told her I would continue to pray about it because I knew that the Lord was going to let me know what it needed to be, as He had done every single year. Later that night, I had a hard time falling asleep, and I don't know, I laid awake staring at the ceiling in the quiet of the dark night. I don't know about y'all, but when I can't sleep, I feel like that's the Lord telling me that we need to talk. And so I started talking to the Lord, thanking Him, praising Him, and asking Him what He wanted me to do, how I could grow closer to Him in 2025. And just like that, it's like you hear those still small voices as you're talking to Him. And I knew what He wanted from me. And He wanted me to heal to flourish. I guess mine's a phrase this year is heal to flourish. And I am going to go over what the Lord laid on my heart with that. And I'm so excited. 2024 was a very hard year. It was not rainbows and sunshine. And I remember there was so much that almost some of it feels like a blur. It's like, did that really happen last year? Was that just last year that happened? And I don't want to live my life in survival mode. I don't want to live that again. It took me back truly to when Houston and I got married in April of 2020. And in August of 2020 is when we started trying to have children. We knew I had fertility issues. Houston also has fertility issues, so we have infertility on both ends, male and female factor. And so we knew it was going to take us a little longer. We didn't know how long. And we went through all of the medications, all of the procedures, the surgeries. And, you know, it was a really hard time from August 2020 to I got pregnant in September of 2022. So for 2 years, you know, it felt like almost like we were back in that again, but almost even worse. I don't know how to explain it. Those were some very, very hard, difficult, trying years. And it was like, you know, once I got pregnant, 2023 was a great year. 2023, I was pregnant and I had Joe Dallas and we had our new baby, and everything finally felt peace and calm. And like for that whole year, 2023 is probably mine and Houston's. I mean, 2020 was a good year of marriage for us, like our first year of marriage and learning each other and, you know, growing with each other as a married couple. But outside of that, I think 2023 was our most favorite year, mine and Houston's most favorite year of just finally getting to bring Joe Dallas home and have him. And after experiencing such a storm of infertility and all of that, you know, and just finally getting to bring him home and love on him. And it finally felt so peaceful and right. So when 2024 rolled around and it was just all these things started happening with me again, hormonally, and I was having to have surgery again, it just did not feel like, it almost felt like I didn't think this was going to happen now that we were out of the trying to have a baby for the last 2 years. It was like, why is this all happening? You know, again, it was like, so this is just my life. Like, this is just never ending because I have these hormonal issues. I have PCOS, I have hypothyroid, I now have endometriosis. And, you know, that went misdiagnosed. I had it all along. I had it all year. It just went misdiagnosed. When I had my surgery in May, they were more concerned about me having uterine cancer, which I understand, you know, why they were. And, you know, I felt the same way. That they only sent out the tissue for cancer testing. They never sent it out for endometriosis testing, like any of that. It was only sent out for cancer testing. So I had that when I had that surgery, and it just went misdiagnosed. We didn't know about it. So come August, you know, when we do contact the fertility center and we tell them, you know, we're ready to get pregnant again, they see from my gynecologist that I've just had this surgery in May. Everything looks good, looks perfect, you know, in medical terms, and there should be no issues. So when it all happened, it was just like, here we go again. Like, it was just this, so much pain and almost flashbacks of everything that I went through just to get pregnant with my son and to have him. And I think adding all of that, like trauma, because that was a very traumatic time of my life, going through infertility to get pregnant with my son, adding kind of that back on top of the grief, and then finding out weeks later that there was a reason why I miscarried, and it was my body, and my body was what failed me. You know, it was really hard. And so 2024, and then I just kind of, I did not take time to grieve fully. I don't believe. I didn't take time to heal after that. It was October, it was the holidays, and it's a busy season here on YouTube for me. And instead of fully taking care of myself, and I think fully, I grieved. Don't get me wrong. I grieved. The Lord helped me through it. But at the end of 2024, once Christmas was over, I was not where I needed to be. I was not where I wanted to be. And, you know, that's where the Lord was like, you've got to rest. You have got to rest in me. and you have got to get grounded again, because I was not grounded at all. And I was just grieving so badly, 2 months later, and it just, none of it made sense. And, it's funny that it took so long for me to get this, but I feel like the Lord gave it to me whenever I was starting to become more grounded. And I think sometimes it's also just, we have to fully listen. And sometimes we don't want to listen to what the Lord tells us or has for us, because maybe we want to fight it. We're human, we're flesh, we're sinners. And so when he gave this to me, it was like an aha moment. Like, I knew all along, like, why did it take me so long to get it down on paper kind of situation. All right, Heal to Flourish for 2025. I am so excited about this. Healing to flourish. It is a process of developing one's strengths and virtues to achieve a state of optimal well-being. If you Google heal to flourish, healing to flourish, that's what comes up. And then it also comes up with these 2 different breakdowns of healing and flourishing. So I want to give you guys those breakdowns. And then also I will go ahead and add that if you want to read through my story, and read through this Heal to Flourish, I guess kind of like I kind of made it into a devotional. That's kind of how I make them every year. I will have those linked down below so you can click on them and read through them. But healing. So healing, confronting discomfort. Healing often involves acknowledging and working through difficult emotions or situations. So acknowledging what happened, acknowledging the grief, and getting grounded and working through those. Again, hand in hand with the Lord, because I'm coming at this with a spiritual, religious perspective, because I'm, a Christian. So that's how I'm going to find my healing and flourishing is, obviously in Christ. Number 2, breaking old patterns. Healing can involve recognizing and changing unhealthy habits or ways of thinking. So, like for me, I'm healing a lot from grief and from, I guess the trauma of the infertility. And, when you go through infertility and you have a miscarriage and you lose a baby, your mind is, my body failed me. It's all my fault. I'm the reason this happened. But if I change that unhealthy way of thinking of, yes, I do have these fertility issues, but the Lord knew all along, and He's known for years that these things would happen, that these things would take place. There's a reason, and, hopefully there's a greater purpose, and I don't understand it, but I can use the things that have happened in my life, just as I used going through IVF and going through infertility, just in general, the first time with having Joe Dallas. That story I got to use as a testimony to help other ladies going through infertility. And I ended up with a miracle with my baby. And so it does work, it does happen, and God does provide, and God does bless, and God does keep His promises. And so I got to use that as part of my testimony, so I can use these things as well as part of my testimony. And then also, thirdly, rest and self-care. Taking time to replenish your spirit can help you serve others. And this is so true. And just resting and, making sure you're taking care of yourself, nourishing your body. And I find lots of self-care. I feel like self-care, when a woman says self-care, you're thinking, oh, massages, going to the spa, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, getting facials, like all that stuff. When I see self-care, when I think of self-care, I think of, I guess, rest, like resting. Self-care to me is nourishing my body with good foods, moving my body, and just taking care of myself internally. Because if you take care of yourself internally, then you're outwardly, you will glow. You will know if you're taking care of yourself internally. So that's kind of like my self-care is more nourishing foods, eating the right foods, and moving my body and making sure I'm going outside every day to get some sunshine. Even if it's a cloudy day, you're still getting sun. It's still there, even though you can't see it. It's just like God. You can't see him, you can feel him. He's still there. And resting, and find your rest, and make sure you're getting adequate amount of sleep. I also like to rest with just cuddling up with my son. Maybe we watch his favorite TV show together, or we read books, or just sitting down and teaching him new things, learning experiences. I can find rest in motherhood, and I also find rest in just sitting down and cozying up with a warm cup of coffee or tea, or just one of your favorite drinks, and a book. I love to read, so I have been reading a lot this year. That's how I've been resting a lot. I've been reading a lot. I've been starting to write again, journaling more, which is just really good to get those thoughts out on paper. What you're thinking, what you're feeling, journal it, and it just gets it out. And just trying to, I'm very type A, so I'm very organized. I'm like very OCD, honestly, in a way. And finding new hobbies, that's also restful to me. Any homemaking hobby is very restful to me, and I've dipped into some new things in my homemaking journey, which I will share later on. I'm excited to share those. And finding the rest and self-care in those things in homemaking, baking a lot, cooking a lot, doing those things bring me joy. When it gets warm outside, getting back into gardening and getting in the garden again, and stuff like that. So, because I love being outside, especially when it's warm, and we've had some nice warm weather, so that was very, very nourishing to me to have the warm days that we had. But we are expecting some snow tomorrow, the day that I'm filming this. It is February 18th. I think this is going to go up February 19th. So today, when you're watching this, the day it goes up, we're supposed to have some snow, so we'll see. But then flourishing, there's 3 breakdowns of flourishing. So we just went over healing, how to flourish. So realizing your potential. Flourishing is about realizing your potential to be happy, healthy, and well in all aspects of your life. So realizing your worth, realizing that you're capable, and you can be happy, you can be healthy, even if you've experienced terrible things in your life. With the Lord, you can still flourish, and you can still get through those things. Building relationships. Flourishing can involve building better social relationships and doing random acts of kindness. And so I know that in my Q&A video, I told y'all I'm very introverted. I'm not a social butterfly at all. I try to be, and one of my goals this year, I guess, could and should be to be more sociable, to get out more, because I am such a homebody. It is ridiculous. And build those relationships. And honestly, though, it says, being social, even just building your relationships, with me, I guess I just want to build a better relationship, always with my husband and with my son, and, showing random acts of kindness more to my husband, to my son, to other people that I love, that I care about, so I want to try to be more sociable. It's very hard for me, like I said in my Q&A video, because I am a very introverted girl, but I'm capable of doing those things, and I can do it. I went to public school. I was sociable then. I'm like, I can do it now. I worked a public job. I worked at a hospital. I had to be social every day with my patients and everything, so I can do it. So, I just need to get better at it this year to hopefully flourish, to heal and flourish this year. And then lastly, being yourself. Flourishing can involve being true to yourself and knowing your worth. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And those are lessons that I have learned. I think that I have learned since I was like 18 years old, to be yourself. Be who the Lord has called you to be. Finding yourself, and I think in your early 20s you truly find yourself, and maybe you don't, maybe you find yourself in your 30s. I don't know. I truly found myself in my 20s. I did get married young. Me and Houston, I was 19 when we started dating. I had just turned 20, like literally a week after I turned 20. We got engaged, and 6 months later we got married. I was 21 when we got married. And so, you know, I've really grown with my husband. I have matured with my husband. We both have. We've both grown and matured together. And I really love who we've become. And we look back at old photos of us and old videos, and we laugh so hard of who we used to be. And sometimes he still jokingly say, let's go back. And I'm like, absolutely not. And he's like, you're right. We don't want to go back there. Because we really love how we have grown with each other, and how we have matured with each other, and how we have became one over the past few years, even more together, and really became who the Lord called us to be, who he intended us to be, and we are ourselves. And it's just such a nice life of knowing, you know, who you are and what you want to be and the goals you want to accomplish, and not having to worry about the outside world of, you know, I never really had issues with feeling like jealousy towards others. I never really felt issues of feeling like I needed to be like somebody else. I never really had that, or copying somebody or any of that. I always just did what made me happy and what I felt like was what the Lord wanted me to do and who he wanted me to be. And I feel like that's how I have gotten to the point that I am now, honestly. I mean, it is because I've always just tried to be very sensitive to the Lord's will and calling of what he wanted and what he has for me. So yeah, those are just ways that you can heal and ways that you can flourish. And again, if you want to see those broke down, I will have this linked below where you can read through it. But my Bible verse, there's actually 2 verses for this year, is Jeremiah chapter number 17 verses 7 and 8. And it says, blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. For he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. So just like a tree by the water, thriving and green, this verse reminds us that putting our trust in the Lord leads to flourishing. When we anchor our lives in faith, we won't fear the heat of trials or the drought of difficult times. Our lives will bear fruit, reflecting the steadfastness of our trust in God. This image of a thriving tree teaches us the beauty of reliance on God, promising a life that overcomes challenges and blooms in every season. In order to flourish, one must heal. So that's why the Lord gave me heal to flourish. So when you see a tree, you look at its outward appearance. The tree is either beautiful and alive, the beautiful tree, except, you know, in the winter months, it's gonna, you know, die down. But let's think springtime, summertime, when the trees are beautiful and full and they're alive. Or the tree is either rotted and dying. So let's think of like an actual dead tree, like when you know a tree is fully dead and it's not going to get revived. You know what I'm talking about? We as humans, we're the same. And I find it funny. You know, the Lord compares us, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river. You know, we get compared to that here in these verses. So how does the dying tree revive? It has someone who takes care of the internal needs, the root system, and it goes through a healing process. So just as us, how do we revive when we feel like our spirit has died and, you know, we feel like we're no longer in control, or because truly we're not ever in control, or that, you know, we just need to get grounded. Like I keep saying, we need to get grounded again. We go to Jesus. And Jesus is the one who takes care of our internal, our soul. We find rest in him and healing in him. So slowly, day by day, the tree will regain its strength and its beauty. It heals. It flourishes. So may we allow the Lord to take care of us this year, just as we take care of these plants and the beauty that the Lord has given us, let's allow the Lord to take care of us personally this year as well. So all we have to do is surrender and trust in Him to guide us and to help us heal, so we too can flourish, because you have to heal first in order to flourish. You can't flourish and then heal. You've got to slow down, you've got to rest, and you have to realize that you have to heal before you can flourish. And that is what the Lord gave me for this year of 2025. And I hope that was a help to y'all. Like I said, you can find everything if you want to read through it. Again, I know I keep saying that. In the description box, there will be links where you can pull this up and read through it, because I do want you to be able to, you know, read it over again, watch this video again. I know this video is very much podcast style, but I do enjoy, I feel like it just needed its own, I know it's very long too, it needed its own video, and it needed this. It's a beautiful thing, and I get very happy. I don't know if you can tell, I feel like I've been smiling, glowing per se this whole entire time, because I'm truly so excited about that this is what the Lord gave me this year, and that I do get to share it with y'all, and I hope it can be a help and a blessing to you as well, because like I said, I've been through some hard stuff, and I think people, they're like, how can you go through what you've been through and still remain happy and still have a smile on your face? And I don't always have a smile on my face, but I try. And the simple answer is, it's the Lord. And if we allow Him to be the controller of our life and to be the one, then you too can always just have a peaceful, grateful heart, and always show happiness through anything, through any trial of life that you're faced with. And you know, I was hit with some pretty hard stuff that I never thought imaginable. Truly, I never thought it would happen to me. You know, after everything else I had been through, I just never thought that would happen. And for the Lord to be able to put me here where I am now, and be able to share that side of my story, and be able to, like I said, hopefully use it as a blessing to one of you who might need to hear it as well. That is beautiful, and that is worth praising and clinging to the Lord for. So I do also want to share a song. So going to leave a link down below, a song by some of our sweet friends. So I told y'all, I am a big music person. I've always been a big music person, and I find comfort in music as well, and listening to music, and especially worship music. And so I love the Carr family. I know I mentioned that years ago in videos. I also love another couple, Andrew and Mary Beth Jones, and they come to our church a lot, and they sing at our church a lot. And Mary Beth is just the sweetest soul. She is such a light everywhere she goes, and me and her, we have always just had some great conversations, and I consider her one of my friends. Houston has known her for a very long time, and her family, and so her and her husband wrote one song called You're Still the Greatest, and he wrote the song about their son. Their firstborn son has Down syndrome, and he wrote the song pertaining to him having Down syndrome. But I feel like that song, you can pertain it to so many things, and that was one of the songs that I listened to a lot, grieving the loss of our child. And you'll have to listen to it, because it's not letting me pull up the lyrics where I can read it up to you like word for word, but it says something along the lines, you know, it's not what I expected, and it's not what I had planned for my life, and you know, it wasn't the dreams that I had dreamed, but you know, it happened, and it's what the Lord had for my life, despite what I wanted and what I thought that my life should look like, and the dreams that I had for my family, and you know, for my childbearing. And you know, but despite it all, Lord, you're still the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And you know, if we got what we deserved, you know, truly what we deserve is hell, but the Lord gave us his only son, and you know, he died for us that we get to go to heaven. And so, you know, the Lord didn't give us what we deserved. He gave us Jesus. And so you'll just have to listen to the song. It is a really, really great song. If you're going through a difficult time, maybe you're experiencing grief, or, you know, maybe it's grief through loss, like how I was, or how, you know, I still am. It comes in waves. I still have moments, and I don't think that'll ever go away. Or maybe you're just grieving something else in your life, you know, whatever that might be, or you're just having a difficult time. So give that song a listen. I know they will appreciate it too. And you can, you know, just support them as well. But I'll leave that link down below as well. They're a great couple. I love their family. I love every time they come to our church to sing. They've always just been such a blessing to me in Houston, and we, you know, we are honored with their friendship, you know, just who they are. So anywho, but one last thing. If you made it this far into the video and you enjoyed this chit chat, sitting down, kind of devotional, reflection, just feeling like, you know, we just got to sit down and have a good Christian girl talk conversation, which I love. I love whenever I can just sit down and talk to people, like faith-filled people, and just, you know, you leave the conversation feeling like you got something, you know, and like it just blessed your heart. So if you made it this far, then you will be entered in to win an Amazon gift card. So I have an Amazon gift card here, and I would love to gift this to one of you sweet ladies. It's $25 gift card, so maybe you can treat yourself to a little something on Amazon. So all you have do is comment down below what your word is for the year. If you've already said that in past videos, it is okay. You can still re-comment the word, maybe share something that the Lord has already shown you through that. But comment what your word is for the year of 2025. If you have a Bible verse, you can also comment that as well. So your word and your Bible verse of the year for 2025, because I would love to know. And if you don't want to share those, then you can just comment what your favorite part of today's video was. Yes, what your favorite part of the video today was, and you can still be entered in to win. Just let me know you're wanting to be entered into the giveaway, and then I will pick a winner, and I will make sure to announce when the winner, let's see, how long do we want to keep this open for? We'll announce the winner the first week of March. So you have until the first week of March to enter into this Amazon gift card giveaway. But I want to give something back to you guys. Y'all, like I said, y'all have been such a blessing to me. You have been so patient with me, and you didn't even know what was going on. And I felt like the Christmas videos, they did not go as I wanted them to go. They were not what I had planned at all. But I was having a very hard time, and I was grieving, and I just, you know, I was just trying to make it through, and I was still trying to get things out for you. And, you know, it is what it is, and it is fine. But you know, I'm so thankful for you guys and for the community here that we have, and of women, and just Christian women, and the chats that we get to have and everything. So I'm just so thankful, in the prayers and everything. So yeah, but if you did make it this far, then you are entered in to win a Amazon gift card. So make sure you put those comments down below. Make sure you like this video as well. Share it to somebody if you want to share it, and make sure you're subscribed, because you have to be subscribed to enter into the giveaway. But anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Also, if you have any prayer requests or you have praise reports, like always, leave those down in the comments as well, because I would love to pray for you, praise with you in your times of need, or rejoice with you and praise with you in your times of happiness as well. But I will see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.